Howdy folks, good morning. It is Sunday, October 24th, 2021, just 1 week away from our well-known holiday of Halloween. Though, I have particular thoughts on that holiday, but I'm not going to digress. But just want to thank all of you for tuning in to the one Mr. Durney on a Journey for today. So as part of today's video, I'm actually going to point out another native wildflower that I found. It's not only found in Florida, but even other states that are along the East Coast, whether it be Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and maybe even further up north too, possibly. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So I'm actually over at the Sleeping Turtles Preserve near Venice. It's actually been a hot minute since I've been here. Reason I haven't really visited recently is given the fact that with heavy rain that happened, about a month and a half ago, it's very likely this whole area was completely inundated with water. Or in other words, flooded. So I've kind of been keeping my distance from here. But now, since it is transitioning into the dry season, there's more opportunity to walk here. But as part of this video, I wanted to point out this guy right here. Some of you may actually recognize it. For those of you who don't, this is something called the Climbing Aster. So you can tell immediately that this is indeed a type of aster, which essentially is a Latin name describing a star, just based on the general shape of the flower. So it goes by the scientific name of Symphyotrichum carolinianum. However, though, there's one thing. That's how Florida Wildflower Foundation lists the flower, like in terms of the scientific name. However, though, the USDA plants database has a different scientific name, which is something like the genus starts with an S, and then the species is carolinianus. But rest assured, it really is the same plant. It's just, apparently, those two organizations don't fully agree with each other. So it does make it a bit complicated, in terms of what is the correct scientific name to use for the flower. But Climbing Aster, so as you can tell, you can see that it's very plentiful. So it definitely grows in a colony, and essentially it really acts like a vine, whether it be along a stream bank, which is where we are right now, or on a tree, or even other shrubs too. It tries to cover as much ground as possible to receive plenty of sunlight. So many of you may be thinking, like, is this really an invasive flower just because of how much it spreads? Well, the good news is it's not. It actually is a native flower in Florida. So if you were to actually buy the seeds of this flower, or plant, I should say, at a native nursery, you would be just fine, because it would be safe. Now, this is a larval host for a couple of separate caterpillars. So, in a sense, this serves as an importance, as it keeps our local wildlife to keep functioning. Not only that, but the Climbing Aster really attracts pollinators of different kinds, whether it becomes bees, insects, or Even Jesus, the name was butterflies. Jeezy Pete. It was at the tip of my tongue, but I couldn't like say it. But yeah, oftentimes too, you can see the leaves along the stem. They're kind of like a oval shape. And in terms of medicinal benefit, apparently the leaves have been used by the Seminole, in which they would grab a leaf, rub it against their fingers, and kind of use it to relieve any itching, like on your skin, after you've been exposed to perhaps something like poison ivy, just as an example. But yeah, this is the Climbing Aster. So for any of you who go on a hike out here, you'll find plenty of those. But as I said, they are native and they're not invasive. So that's a relief. But yeah, usually fall time is their peak. That's usually when most asters will give off their showy flowers. But they are here year round, and they're perennial. Yeah, to my right is the one and only Myakka River. It's a black water stream, so rest assured, keep in mind that it's not polluted by any means because of how dark it is. It is natural. Rather, think of it this way. The darkness of the water is basically like a dye. So what creates the dye is a particular chemical compound called tannins. Same thing that's found in tannic acid. Most of these tannins are organic and they come from marsh and swamplands most of the time. And what happens is if it rains, especially, those compounds will make their way into the stream. So that's why it kind of gives that tea color in the water. But yeah, perfectly safe. It's quiet today, too. The river's very quiet. But yeah, there was a time, it was one of my first adventures with Garrett Stewart, aka Captain Planet. Shout out, by the way. We actually kayaked up along this river here. And as it turned out, we actually saw a manatee, a West Indian manatee, to be specific. And those are native to here as well. But it was just wild to see a West Indian manatee this far upriver. And yeah, oftentimes they will spend their lives in freshwater. And then during certain times of the year, they'll go into the ocean. So they're actually quite versatile in terms of where they can swim. But the thing is, though, their population has been severely at risk. I think I read, like in Florida this year, due to algal blooms and other modifications of the environment, up to 900 or so manatees have died this year. I mean, it sounds very depressing and sad, but efforts are indeed being made to help restore their population. But yeah, this is the Sleeping Turtles Preserve, where you can see plenty of wildlife, the natural features of Florida along a riparian habitat, plenty to see. It's definitely not a waste of your time. It's alright, you guys. Now, there was a bit of interpretation going on in this video, but I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to watch, and your support is appreciated. It's alright, you guys. Enjoy your Sunday and the rest of your weekend. And Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.